recording. Should give us okay, we're ready.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to kick us off. I'm Leisa Thompson. I'm the General Manager with Environmental Services, and I'm the team lead for this effort. Thanks for joining us. I know everybody's finding 2022 to be extra busy because we're still dealing with a pandemic amidst all the other things we have to do on our day-to-day work lives. We took a break. November was the last time we met, so we're regrouping now and getting started here in 2022. I want to start with maybe introductions if there's anybody new, and then we'll tackle our agendas. So maybe we can do a go around. If you just look at your participant list, everything's alphabetical, except you'll have to see where you slot in. So if we, actually, we're not in alphabetical because it's got Cello at the top. Well,
first out, yeah.
Yeah. So I think this will work if we just run down the list. So as I said, I'm Leisa Thompson, General Manager with Environmental Services. And then next it would be Cello looking at my list.
Yeah, my name is Cello, and I was the principal investigator on the UN project, and I'm part of the project team for WISE. And I think Jessica is next on my alphabetical list.
Good morning. Happy New Year. This is Jessica Bucciarelli. I work on employee engagement at Clean Water Services just outside of Portland, Oregon. And none of my computers are working, but I'm glad to be with you a little bit here.
Okay. And Jessica Desara?
Hey, Jessica Desar. I'm from Loudon Water in Northern Virginia. I'm the Director of Operations and Maintenance Programs.
Gary?
Good morning, Gary Fox with Tacoma Water, sort of our asset planning team. I've been attending the asset management and asset risk presentations of this last week, so excited to be part of this one as well.
George Glenn?
Hi, Glenn George from Tacoma Water. I'm the Water Resources Supervisor and listening in for the first time. Thanks.
Thank you. Marco? Merrick?
Sure. Hi, good morning. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm Marco Merrick. I'm the Acting Chief for Equity and Environmental Justice in Baltimore City's Department of Public Works, and I will ask for forbearance as I may have to jump off around 11 for executive leadership meeting. And of course, you know, we're all navigating in these large utilities a number of COVID cases and how it impacts the services that we are providing to city. So thank you for understanding.
Yeah, thanks. Scott?
Yeah, Scott Haskins. I'm working in the kitchen supporting the project with Cello.
Yeah, and Zonetta? You're muted, Zonetta.
There you go.
Yeah, I apologize. I had to walk away. What are you asking? I'm sorry.
We're going through introduction.
Well, and I knew I was going to get caught. I had to take care of something. My name is Zonetta English, and I work for Louisville MSD, and I have been part of the whole WISE UAM effort since the beginning. And for this particular one, I'm just following it because I've been involved with all of those people, business processes. So I'm just here just to observe anything I can assist with, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And Patricia Butler just joined us. We're going through the introduction. You just knew how to make an entrance.
Happy New Year, everybody.
So you could just share who you are, Patricia, for some new members.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Butler. I'm with Great Lakes Water Authority, and I work in our organizational development group.
Thank you. So back to you, Lisa.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I really value the work we're doing together, and a key part of that, or at the heart of that, is getting this network and knowing others that we can also reach out to in between even our work together, so that we can support each other in the challenges that we may face that others have already faced before us. So thank you for doing introductions. Our agenda for today, So as I said previously, for those that just joined, the last time we met was November. So this is the first time that our full team is getting back together since then. But the core team, thankful to the core team, has been continuing to work and does a lot of behind the scenes efforts to help develop the details and bring us back a product or output for us to review and provide input to. So we are going to get ourselves started again by refreshing on the Tier 1 assessment tool. And then we'll be getting some feedback and suggestions for the team. We hope that we can spend some time talking about the piloting this with utilities, and we're getting a few folks already expressing interest, and we'd like to see more. And then we'll wrap up with talking about what we have before us in terms of work and next steps. So I think let's give folks a chance to any questions or thoughts in terms of that agenda, and are you good with that, or would you like to see us include something else? All right, I think then we're ready for you, Cello, to take us through the tool. Thanks.
Thank you. Just to put the context, we are on WISE looking at, on the left side, workforce and organization, what we call the people topic. And on the right side, we have processes and technology, and the change management kind of encompasses and touches everything. So on these things with the different color spectrum from red to green in the black arrows on the left side, these are the 7 categories that emerged from that work of this team during the past year. And if you remember, we started with 400 ideas and boiled it down to these categories. So what we're going to do today is speak only about that left side. These things on the right side are also happening and going on. Assessments have been prepared, draft assessments, but today we're focusing just on these categories on the left. So the scope, as we looked at it for the last part of the 2021, was to finalize a survey tool and look at the analysis and presentation and start thinking about draft guidelines for assessment. So I'm going to talk about these 3 things: the tool, the analysis, and the presentation today. Okay. Okay, just a second. So they in step 1, we finalized Tier 1 questions, and I'll show you where they are. They are in a they're posted to our knowledge base, and they're accessible to all. So they're in Microsoft Form. Then we worked with the core team to sort of finalize this version 1.0 of the assessment tool, and then the presentation. So the tool is organized around these 7 categories that we mentioned. So I'm going to demonstrate what this looks like, and then what the analysis and the results presentation look like. So just a little bit technical information. The way this works is that we have a survey that is prepared in Microsoft Forms that's posted to SharePoint. Then we would send the survey out, collect the responses. The results are saved in an Excel file. And then we run Power BI against that Excel file to generate reports. And we can then review these reports and look at the look at the results. So these steps have been completed. and they can be found. This is the path. This is essentially the folder for our meeting today, and then there's a subfolder for assessment tools that includes the tier 1, and it includes this form, it includes an example, this Excel file, it includes Power BI file. It's all in this folder. So let me show you that when you go to that folder, you'll see the Power BI file, the Excel that gets generated here, and a PDF version of the Microsoft Forms, just so you know that all that is already there. So what I'm going to do now is show you, sorry about this, there's a little bit of moving around Windows, show you what the results of the tool look like. You can see that there are tabs for each one of the categories: organizational strategy and performance, organizational values, responsibility, accountability, reward, recognition, communication. We ended up with 18 questions. So the dashboard here shows what were the results. This is question 1, 2, 3 were in this category. Question 4, 5, 6 are in this category. 7 and 8 are in this category. Reward and recognition just has one question. That's why it's question 9. And then the communications, question 10 and 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are employee engagement, and then teamwork is 16, 17, 18. And this is just the overall dashboard, and the color of these things, it corresponds to the maturity assessment level that came from the responses to the survey. Now, this is taking all of the responses together. Now, I have to say that in order to build a dashboard, I had to generate results. So these are not actual responses. This is just a simulation that would show how this tool works. Once we go to the pilot, you would send out the actual form, you'd get the responses, and then you would use that file to generate a report like this. So you could slice and dice through it so you could see, well, how does the staff in the field feel about this? And then the dashboard will adjust and show how they answered different questions, or how does office staff look at it? And you will see again how they answered different questions and stuff like that. Or you could say, how did people in finance look at it? Or how did people in operations look at it, and stuff like that. And then these tabs indicate the background. So this one, organizational strategy and performance, is the first tab. So if you go there, you'll see the details on the questions that were related for that in a tier 1 survey to that topic. So you will see the question, the legend again, and then 32% said that they strongly disagreed. And again, you could slice this and see, well, how did managers feel about it, and or how did staff in the field feel about it? So again, this was all generated from kind of fake responses that I had, but just to give you a sense for how the tool can be used and what the results would look like. So you could go to organizational values and do the same thing, or you could go to employee engagement, see the questions, and slice and dice it. So I'll stop at this point right now to see if there are any questions.
Patricia.
This looks wonderful, Cello. I just wanted to say, wow, this is great. It brought to mind one of the things that we talked about back in the late fall. We talked about having some type of a guide to show people, having some of these screenshots so people can see the results and how they can slice and dice it. to me, that helps sell it. These, beautiful pie charts, people can see it. You can see very easily how to manipulate your data so that you could see your results, can make a determination whether, the organizational strategy and performance, management team seems to know, but the field doesn't. I mean, it seems like some really easy things that you can come from just doing this. So kudos, great job. And I love the fact that we could take some of these screenshots that you have on the fake data and actually use them for a document, a guide that would explain how they would do it. And I think that would be impressive.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And I have to say, for example, on the employee engagement, I did play around a little bit. So I said, okay, well, how did executive management feel about it? And then how did staff in the field feel about it? Just to give it a bit of spice,
Right. And that gives a great contrast, because when you're trying to make the determination, it's like, well, yeah, all the managers know because they go to quarterly meetings where they're talked about, but it's obviously not trickling down. How do we get that to happen? Right. Or, we're not spending that information to the field. We're sending it out in emails. They're obviously not reading it. So how can we do that if that's important to us at that point in time? But no, great job.
Thank you. So these results would then be also used to figure out which tier 2 question do we want to generate. So once we, so this was part of the scope for last year. And this year we're going to say, okay, let's take these dashboards and these results and generate some suggested action items for and I see Scott for improvement. Scott has his hand up.
Yeah, Cello, just real quickly, if you were on these roles and business units, if you had a large number of people that were participating and confidentiality were important, then this would be perfectly appropriate to use. If you had a smaller team, say, under 10 people, and you wanted to maintain confidentiality, you may choose to not use these or not share the information with some others, because it would be obvious who they are, but it would still give whoever is doing the effort the information. But what I was going to suggest, Cello, just real quickly, because I think we have time, is that there are a few new people on the line who haven't seen the questions, and I'm not saying to spend more than we only have 18 questions, and if you could just go through the tabs so that they can see what those questions are, because in the feedback there will be a question related, a Mentimeter question related to the questions themselves. You've kind of shown them real briefly, but just give them a chance to look at the questions that are there quickly.
Okay.
And can you also address what Scott was just saying about the point about if you only had a small group, is who are the owners, the quote unquote admins of the survey? Will they be able to pull out the, say, okay, we're not going to do the role, or we're not going to do the business unit because we want to group a couple of these business units together so that we can not get that detail? Will we have any flexibility in that?
You have full flexibility over that, because D1 is question it's a sort of a demographics question 1 and demographics question 2. So you can just not use these 2 questions and you would not have that data. Right now, the survey is set up to be anonymous, meaning that you would not have the information about it. If you wanted, it's very easy to make it not anonymous. You could choose to have it confidential so that only that you have information who's saying it, but only one person knows it. It's very easy to adjust to how you would like to use it in that way.
Thank you.
So these are the 3 questions related to organizational strategy and performance. Question 1, organizations go. First of all, let me ask you, can you guys see this on your screen? Is it big enough? Okay. So the organization's goals, targets, and key performance indicators are transparent, broadly communicated, understood throughout the organization. So these questions, as I said, the second one was my own goals and targets are well defined and understood. I know how my work will be evaluated. Question 3 is, I know how my work relates to the organization's goals. Organization values has 3 questions. I trust this organization to be fair to all employees. All people have an opportunity to succeed in this organization, and my organization follows its values. So that's responsibility. It is, I'm satisfied and accountable with my involvement in decision making that decisions that affect my work. I trust the organization to hold everyone accountable for their actions and behaviors. Reward recognition, it was just one question, good performance is recognized. Communication had 2 questions. I'm satisfied with the information I received from management on what's going on in my organization, and I'm comfortable voicing my concerns and opinions to my management. Employee engagement had 4 questions. I'm given opportunities to improve my skills in my organization. Leadership acts on feedback from employees. New ideas and solutions are encouraged and often implemented across the organization, and I'm trusted to do my work. And finally, teamwork and collaboration has 3 questions. Employees value and respect each other. My team collaborates and works toward the common goal, and across the organization, departments/group collaborate with each other to achieve common organizational goals. So these things have been, they came from utility partners, they've been vetted by the core team, and so that's where we are right now. And so anyway, those are the questions in response to Scott.
Thank you, Cello.
Any other comments or thoughts?
We have a Mentimeter poll. Were you going to cover anything before that?
You mean whether
We're
I
do a Mentimeter feedback on the tool?
Let me do some magic here. Give me just a second. I have to say, let me see. Okay.
Put it in the chat, the link.
Yeah, I will, yes, give me just 1 second.
While he's doing that, Lisa, any comments? Oh, there we go.
Well, I agree with Patricia's comments, that this really is, gets your attention in a really good way and gets you kind of thinking about the possibilities. I already am thinking about, if I had an organization with low scores in any one area, then you have to think about, okay, what am I going to do to raise that score? Where do I start with follow-up actions to improve things in the organization? So, I mean, it's just going to pull us, I think, to that next step, which is, okay, we got this great tool. It tells us where we're at. Now, how do we plan for improvements?
Yeah. So these are Mentimeter questions intended to seek your feedback, and I can. Oh, somebody's at the top of the slide. You can see. You can go to this www.menti.com, and then you would use this code 69826485, and that will open up this screen for you. And then you can use it on your phone. You can do this on your phone or on your computer, and you can essentially, here you would just, say, this looks good, it doesn't look good, strongly, from strongly disagree for each one of these statements. The first one was that assessment questions provide necessary coverage, are appropriate, useful, and easy to answer. The tool is easy, reports are clear, data and analysis will help us identify areas of improve, and the tool is useful for a specific business process or function or function all the way to the organization-wide. So you could use this tool tied strictly to one participant in one process or stakeholders or across the whole organization, and you may tweak it the way you like in terms of confidentiality and all that to address the issue that Scott has mentioned about, you know, if we have very few people involved, how do we do that? So I see 5 people have provided their votes, and I have a few more. So we'll just give everybody a chance to respond.
Those shaded areas sort of show the distribution a bit, right, Cello?
That's correct, yeah. So if you go here, you would see, you know, that we have 1 here, 3 here, and 3 here. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I go here, so there's, you know, 5 here and 2 here. So that kind of, you know, gives you a sense.
Mentimeter is the coolest tool. I think
Okay.
it's absolutely awesome.
Let's see, I'll move forward. We have 7 responses. Is it okay? Please raise your hand if you want me to, if you need a little bit more time. Okay. I have to do this a little bit of a pedestrian way. So everything is the same, but you could now have place where you can add your suggestions, and you can just type it in and it'll show up here. You know how this would make it more useful for your organization. And you can type, you know, whatever you'd like, and then we'll collect these results and have ideas and suggestions for what we can improve. And when we say tool, we mean the survey questions itself, the, you know, use of Microsoft Forms, which is readily available in Excel and Power BI. So you're kind of completely in the Microsoft ecosystem. Since it's typing, this usually takes a little bit more time. Okay. Yes, that's a very good comment. That is definitely what our scope is, planned for the first quarter of this year. Is there an ability to customize list of who is responding? You would be sending MS Form to a list of addressees that you would construct. And I hope that it allows you to put more than 1 comment. Sometimes it limits people to 1 comment, and I hope that I turn that switch off. If not, if it doesn't allow you to put more than 1 comment, just please put it into the chat line, any additional comments into the chat line for a Microsoft Teams.
These are good comments, and yeah, I don't know, Cello, what the answer to that one. If you wanted a different list on the roles, on the demographics, do we have the flexibility, or were we trying to standardize across?
You have the flexibility. No, that's not. That is totally flexible. And the question is, why not just use Gallup or other outside vendor? Well, Gallup has 12 questions, and Gallup is used successfully in 148 countries. and it's a little bit more generic tool. This tool was developed by a number of people who collaboratively by a number of people who work in the water sector, in public utilities. And so it may include some features or comments that are more specific to things that we deal with. But and there are, I don't want to get too deep into it, but there are a couple approaches to these types of studies that Chris Argyris from MIT Sloan outlined. One of them is basically that where the assumption is that you hire an independent party who will come in and tell you, how you're doing. Where the outside party is sort of like a respected, kind of supposedly unbiased party. The other one is to say the other party will only facilitate and we will figure out what's wrong. We're the ones who are going to take charge of this. So there are two different ways to go about this. This is more an approach that is a bit more demanding, but it also, I think, because it's built by people who live and breathe in these types of organizations, has probably some specifics and advantages.
Yeah, Patricia mentioned in the comments in the chat that the survey was also designed to support the maturity model that was developed by this team.
Correct.
And great comment. Can organizations that score high in an area be a reference for those with low score who want to improve? And that's absolutely consistent with what this whole effort is about. So that's a good suggestion. So
yeah, both of those, yeah.
Cello, can you show the maturity model though, so that especially the new folks can see it, because it started with that. And so if you're kind of coming in now, you're kind of, what's the maturity model? I don't know if they've seen it, and know that this is to support an organization to understand where you are on the maturity model and identify how you can improve it. And that was the purpose of the survey.
That's correct. Yeah. I would have to get out a Mentimeter, so
okay.
I'll just bring it up later because I'm handling several windows and I'm gonna probably mess something up if I try.
You can do it, Cello. No, I'm fine. That's good.
Cello, were you going to go to the next question?
Yes, I'll go to the next question. Sorry. You see, I get lost easily. So the next one is really, if we think about what are the major challenges that you see that, to make this assessment effective. And Scott, maybe you can.
Yeah, I mean, we want to respond to the kinds of challenges that you identify that are most relevant in your organization, and make sure that we're addressing those in order to help make this assessment effective. So if you have challenges that you're facing in your organization to make this successful, it could have to do with how we ultimately put together a guidance document for it as well. So just go ahead and comment on Cello's question here.
Yeah, that's a very good comment. Sometimes these things are like a small tablecloth that's just a little bit too small for the table. So you can move it around a lot, but it's really difficult to cover the whole table. So we started with the idea that we're only going to have 10 questions. And then we came up with a survey that had like 80 questions. And we said, maybe we need to scale this back. So it was a year of going back and forth between having enough resolution so we really know specifically what's going on, and not taking, forever to fill out and be onerous. So it was really an iterative process. And Patricia is kind of chuckling because she remembers what we went through with this. And Parijas as well was part of it. And
on that second box, we've also talked about how do we, rather than just sending out the survey, that either assembling the team to train them or prepare them for it, or to and even potentially doing it in a workshop type of setting, or definitely communicating so that people will actually complete the survey.
All of these are excellent comments, and as far as the frontline workers, this can be made mobile. The Microsoft form totally can get, absolutely, we can make that mobile for friendly. And communicate why we are doing this and why it's important. Okay. Okay, a good point. Ensuring that employees understand responses are anonymous. There could be fear that negative responses can be traced. That is definitely something that we're aware of, and we're trying to find ways to get around it. It's a little easier if it goes to the whole organization than if it goes to a small team. Like that's what Scott was saying. Doable guidance for how to take action. After that's our next step is the guidance on how to take the action. And this tier 2 is part of it, because tier 2 gets really specific. Well, why do you feel that, why do you feel that people are not being treated well and stuff like that? So we still have more work to do in this area. Communication plan and possible, yes. So these are all important things. Yeah, these are great comments. Really great comments.
So maybe, Cello, just looking at the time, maybe moving to or Leisa to the next agenda item.
So this may be related to what Leisa was going to talk about. If you can just, this is the question about the piloting and testing. And Leisa, you were going to talk about, maybe you can take over about, and people can respond if they want to do this year for a business process, or next year, or this year for a part of the organization, or next year, so you can just choose what you might be interested, just to get an initial gauge. Oh, that's excellent. We got one. Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that's what we were looking for, was something that blue on the left.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the questions that people raised on in their comments above, we need to figure out and make sure we're addressing it as we do these pilots. We're going to learn from these pilots and address some of those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm not sure, but now that I have some interest from one of our groups, and so, but I don't know if it'll be a group or part of the organization or what. So I put part of the organization, but it could be a specific business process. I mean, yeah. Business function. Don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. We just wanted to see, there would be some interest in, I'll move on to the next in the interest of time. Let me see. I will just go back to the PowerPoint slides for Lisa. Give me just 1 second, please. Okay, just a second.
Okay, so
Too many
often,
buttons, I'm sorry.
But did you want Lisa to, well, the first bullet there, we might want to just be sure to highlight.
right, so we do need to ask if you want to let us know who's interested. You can either tell us right now, or you can reach out to Cello and Scott or myself and let us know that you're interested and give us, we'll talk to you basically to find out, because I think most folks, as we saw in that last question, have some nuanced consideration around what they would like to participate in. And Cello, what's the timing? You know, like I think about, I would like the organization that I'm a member of to utilize this and pilot in some way. The reality is the bigger or umbrella organization that we're a part of just did the engagement survey, kind of the Harvard, the business model that's so popular out there. So I don't think doing a survey like this real close to that is going to be optimum for us. So I got to be thinking strategically about how we would and when we would do this.
Yes, we have one more example of another utility who is considering going into one of the, an assessment by a third party, and they're trying to figure out whether to, how to reconcile this, how does this compete, or with the other one. And, on one hand, I'm kind of biased to this because I think it's kind of homegrown. And on the other hand, I think it may actually not be such a bad idea for an organization that's actually going this traditional route, go to a business consultant and to also do this and see what is the difference.
Yeah, and maybe Parjat would want to comment on this, but there's also the case, and maybe this is partly what Lisa was referring to, that, for example, in Kansas City, they are focusing on the CIP process and different pieces of the CIP process, and kind of coupling this with one of the other efforts of the other team might be appropriate. But I don't know what your thinking is, Parjat, but I know that Kansas City is looking at piloting the tool.
Yes, and I know that Charlie had emailed, other than CIP, our water supply is also interested in doing that. But we are in the similar situation because I am getting ready to administer our every 2-year employee survey, which would be in February 1st week or so. So I'm yet to have that discussion with Charlie, that Charlie and Jeff Martin, to how we are going to strategize that. But yes, we plan to do pilot for at least 2.
And there's some others. I know Rebecca Martinez was following along closely and attending a lot of meetings, but wasn't necessarily interested right now as a pilot, but maybe interested later. Is that still where you're at, Rebecca?
I don't see her on the call.
Oh, I thought she was.
But Patricia has her hand up.
Patricia has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I know we've been talking about whether we're going to do the begins with an F. What is Gallup, whether we're going to do the Gallup one through or not directly through the because we have an agreement with not Forbes. What is the organization that does all the surveys? You all just mentioned them earlier.
You mean Gallup?
No, yeah, Gallup. Is it Gallup? We have a contract with someone. I don't remember if it's Gallup or someone else to do these surveys. And so there might be an employee engagement survey. But then I brought up this. So I'm not sure if it's one or the other, or if one's going to happen and the other one's going to happen later. So that's one of the things that's up, but it's up for discussion. But I know since we have this contract, we want to use these services. But this one, I think, has a little bit more meat to it from a standpoint of actionable items. So that's where I'm not sure of when we're going to do this.
Yeah, Gallup provides two types of things. They provide services, which means they can come in and conduct a survey, or they provide access to tools for third party who can then pay Gallup to use their tools in their assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So I have posted the Gallup reports. They have kind of summary reports, I think every 1 or 2 years, of the global survey that they have. So I posted that to our knowledge base, and for those who are interested, you just let me know. I can just point you to the place where it is. It's a very interesting thing, but because it's so broad and so general, it's not, it's a little bit less of a surgical instrument, and it's a little bit, yeah. So that's just my sense, but it has a sound scientific underpinnings.
Yeah.
Cello, would you be able to put the link in the chat so folks could easily, without having to go look for it?
We have, yeah, I can try to do that. There are
You don't
5
have to do it right this minute, but just I know sometimes it's hard to find things when you haven't.
Oh, absolutely. Let me. I will try and do it, Scott. While I'm looking, if you could just take over the thing.
Yeah, let's go through next steps here. And Lisa, you can help with this if you like, but we talked about identifying utilities to conduct pilot implementation, and we certainly want to get that list together, and we would be working with you to support that. Then as far as this team goes and what we're looking forward to during the balance of the year, this is to improve the tool and the methodology as needed, and the comments around, we're calling it including tier 2, which is what do you do with the information, and what are the positive kind of actions one would take to address the gaps that are identified. Then there will be further evaluating how we identify actions to take based on the assessment results. So we're looking at the tool and the methodology, including expanding tier 2, and then further evaluating how we identify actions to take based on assessment results. And then we'll in this team we'll continue to share experiences and artifacts that on the people side of the organization as well, and really encourage interaction with this larger team. And then the last thing, which you can't see, but that's okay. It's really to integrate with the other teams, to develop a strategy for integration with the other initiatives, because as we've mentioned, we're on this team, but there are 5 other teams that are working on assessments in their area, and what they're telling us is that that the people is really the most important key to success. So they may be improving a business process, but they need to focus on the people. So how do we integrate those together? And we'll be giving input on strategies for that as well. Patricia, you had your hand up still, is that right?
No, I'm taking.
Okay.
The link is provided in the chat, and you can see what the path is if you want to go there. It is web-wise initiative, workforce, library assessment, and you will see that there's a folder called Gallup background. There's also a folder for Office of Personnel Management of Hofstede, and folder for articles. If you go to Gallup, you will see examples of the their report, from 2013 to 2019, and sample, just some materials for Gallup. But there's also, if you go to the article, if you go to articles, you'll see, you know, a few different, just if you're interested, some things that I've been kind of posting there too.
A lot of articles.
So that's where I gave you a link to this folder in the chat line.
Okay, Lisa, we have 5 minutes left. You're on mute.
So let's use the chat, and that's not sure why my Alexa from rooms away is talking to me, but let's use the chat, and would love to get feedback. What could we do going forward that we don't have on our game plan right now that you think is important to the success of this effort? How could we get you a little more excited than you currently are? Assuming you're a little bit excited at least. It's always in the virtual environment, it's I find that we have to ask for input, ask for this feedback. I think it's really important.
So Lisa, we would definitely take the feedback from this session and make sure when we meet with a core team that we're taking that into account in terms of the next steps. And I don't know, Lisa, you know, whether we wind up meeting a month from now with this larger team or in 2 weeks, but we need to, you know, we'll need to schedule that.
So we've got a holiday next Monday. I know the core team needs some time to do some work. So yeah, we'll have to get back to you. We'll try and get something out next week, possibly, or later this week to let you know whether we're going to have a meeting in 2 weeks or if we need to bump that out. But appreciate that you're hanging in there with us. It's been a long journey, but I think that you'll find that where we're going is going to be very, very beneficial, not only to your organization, but I think for our industry as well.
So any final comments?